It's an ongoing debate everywhere. There are people who love hip-hop music, old school versus new school. And is the music of today as good as the music from hip-hop's golden era? Well, one thing hasn't changed: the elements that make a hit.
Well, excuse me, take a few minutes to mellow out. Big Daddy Kane is on the mic and I'ma tell about him.
Grammy-winning artist Big Daddy Kane rose to fame in the 1980s as part of the Juice Crew and never stopped performing, with tour dates booked well into 2017. He suggests maybe it's time to ditch the term old school.
It's a label that kind of gives an expiration date, you know? So I think that that's one of the things that affects, you know, the youth willing to like even try to understand, you know, any hip hop stuff prior to their era.
Case in point, up-and-coming rapper Lil Yachty. He made waves saying he never listened to 90s rap icon Notorious B.I.G., who's on almost everyone's best ever list, but he later cleaned it up.
And I think you should probably respect that person as a legend. If you don't feel that he's reached that stature, then a pioneer.
From 80s supergroups like Run DMC to 90s superstars like Diddy, back when he was Puff Daddy.
It's all about the Benjamins.
Hip-hop's generation gap is also about the sound, says super producer Amadeus of Platinum Boy Music. He's produced tracks for more than 60 of the biggest stars, including Chris Brown, Trey Songz, French Montana, and Jennifer Lopez.
The pattern that rappers are using to rapping, da 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 da. You know, things are much slower. Lyrics are much slower. Melodies are much slower.
Really?
You know, more of a sing-along now.
That's my best friend, that's my best friend. You be calling all your homegirls like I'm his wife.
Amadeus tells me the prevailing sound is now what is known as an 808 beat.
So this is what you call an 808?
Yeah, that's an 808. Slow, you know, a lot of space that allows the artist to give you a lot of melody.
Amadeus says whatever the era, great artists and producers share the same authenticity.
For me, the key to it is just being yourself. Being yourself and sharing with the world your true being and whatever you have inside.
Those are just some of the issues about the state of hip-hop. Now let's take it to our panel and find out what they have to say. Joining me in studio, Datwon Thomas. He's the editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine. Datwon, great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us. Also with us is Babs Bunny. You saw Babs, you met her in MTV's Making of the Band back in the 90s, or no, early 2000s. She was also signed to Bad Boy as an artist, and now she's making a lot of waves as the head of the largest female battle rap company, Queen of the Ring. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. Also with us is Phresher. He's one of these rappers that everybody's talking about right now, no matter where you go. Everybody's trying to get on his joints. They're trying to mix with him. He's a Brooklyn-based rapper. His hit song is Wait a Minute. It's been remixed with 50 Cent and Remy, and he's up and coming and already almost there and making a lot of moves in a lot of ways. Phresher, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it. Datwon, I want to start with you on this. When we look at hip-hop today,
Right.
where do you see it? Is it better? Has it grown? Is it healthier? Or is it just something totally different from what it was in what is called the golden age of hip-hop in the 90s?
Yeah, when you think about the golden ages, of course, everybody's gonna, put great memories with the golden age soundtrack, because, hip-hop is basically the soundtrack of our lives. I think right now, though, the music that's promoted, that's out there, on various platforms or whatever, that might not be what everyone considers the traditional hip-hop sound. And because hip-hop is getting older, it's starting to branch out into all these little subdivisions that people are sticking to. And some of those subdivisions are getting bigger than the traditional. So we can't really say like, oh man, these subdivisions they're the worst, it's super bad, because that's going to be the soundtrack to some of these younger kids' lives. What I can say is the stuff that I came up with, in my day when everybody started talking like that, I love that because that's the soundtrack to my life. So if you look for dope hip hop, it's there. If you look at what's in front of you all the time, it might not be the dopest stuff. So
Babs, what do you think about the state of the music business right now and just the sound?
Well, I just think it's like all over the place. It's a disaster. Like, I really feel that way.
You feel it's a disaster?
I feel like it's a disaster coming from the era of music that I come from. It's just, to me, It's a disaster.
Phresher, what do you say to that? You think Phresher's a disaster?
No, I'm not talking
He
about.
played Santa
I'm
Claus
not
to the
talking
kids.
We're about to make this queen of the ring real quick.
Not talking about him. No way.
We got the ring set up in the other room.
that's
But
right.
Phresher, what about that? Because what they're saying, a lot of people say, and then I wonder, is there kind of like a hip hop generation gap? Like the people that came up in the '90s, where it was Biggie, it was Jay, every other record, and the party records were all Puff, were all Diddy records.
Yes.
And then now they hear the stuff, and they're like, oh man, I don't like that. It's a whole different beat. What do you think about? Is it a generation gap?
It's definitely a generation gap, and I pride myself on not on being a student of the game. You understand? So if you hear a lot of my music, you'll hear me jump around. You understand? Like I just did Onyx last day's freestyle. Everybody going crazy over it. Fred Joe hit me up. So yeah, but I do understand why, because my father grew up, it was a 90s rapper, you know what I'm saying? And he's on me all the time, like, hey, you gotta give me something to think about, give these people something to think about, so where, you know what I'm saying, like your uncles can relate to, you know? So I
not just a crazy beat and a crazy hook.
No, it's not always about that, and that's why I spend, the majority of my records are crazy beats, crazy hooks, because that's the money, you understand?
Right.
And at the same time, I'm not in the music or it's not a hobby for me, you understand? As much as I love music, I'm here to make money from it, you understand? Because I have to feed a family.
But there's a lot of artists that are a lot of the newer artists.
Yes.
We saw that little episode with Lil Yachty.
Yeah,
he hadn't listened to Biggie.
Yeah,
they don't even feel like they need to listen. What do you think about that?
That's my only issue. And me as a new generation artist, I have an issue with that. You understand? Because in order to really relish in the game, it's just like LeBron saying he ain't watch Mike and Mike saying he ain't watch Bill Russell. You don't say that. And even if you feel that way, certain things you keep to yourself because you don't want everybody looking at you like you don't know any better. You understand? You have to really. I'm more like a pay homage. I hit up the Jadas and personally on a text like, hey, listen, I appreciate what you set the tone for me, you understand, to be able to do this, you understand? I'm pretty sure Jada and them, if they could speak to a Coogee rap or whoever it is, to Eric Sherman, and I'm a real student of the game, you understand? I just wish more artists were students and really paid homage. When Fred Joe hit me yesterday on Twitter, I was excited, and because I remember Onyx, like, you know what I'm saying, and I know how effective they were in the path they the way they paid for me to be able to have this particular platform. You understand? So I'm more of a pay homage guy. I wish more artists, new generation artists, play homage, because I feel like if we paid homage, it wouldn't be as much controversy as it is now. You understand?
Datwon, what about that?
My issue with the whole Yachty thing and comments like that and kind of being dismissive of the old guard of MCs, the fact that Yachty is bringing in new fans. Mm-hmm. And if these new fans find out that you don't like someone that's a pillar of our culture and what we deem as a 5 mic or that's the illest 16, the top, and that's what we're building our culture on, that's a problem, because now they're going to disrespect, they're going to come in and be like, oh yeah, they don't matter. You can't do that in other genres of music. If you slander Elvis Presley, you want to get a whole bunch of those blue shoe Cadillac loving people coming after you. You know what I'm saying? So we got to do the same thing. So I love the fact that he did backtrack and somebody had to educate him and all that. But just the mentality of coming in,
like dismissing it. Like it's one thing to say I don't feel it or I don't like it or it's not my thing.
Opinion.
But to say like I don't even know, like you're not even important enough for me to know.
That's not right.
That's
you have to be a student of your art form.
Yes, you think that's like a disrespect to the culture? Too?
Oh, no question.
It's total disrespect. And then who raised you? Because it was no Biggie Smalls or Tupac played in your house. I mean, like,
it was,
what's
too.
going on here? Like, who raised these people? I don't get it. No.
Yachty gets it because his dad is a real music head. Like,
then he have to have her.
Yeah, like I hear stories about his father. Ebro told me like his pops is a big music head. So when you know what I'm saying, like he put his dad in the hole. Like, hey, what you had your son listening to? You know what?
Right.
Like what was he listening to? All right, we're gonna take a short break. This is Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers. I'll be back right after this.
And I know people that go from the club drunk and high and they go record. So you can imagine what's coming out their mouth. You get what I'm saying? Like nothing. It's well thought out with me.
What about the message, Datwon? Because a lot of people are saying, you know what, it's just the hook, it's just the beat, and nobody cares about the message or the storytelling.
Right. Well, that's just the way that the industry is going right now. Before you had kind of like a system where your first single was the club joint, second single was something that was a little bit more thought provoking,
Yeah.
you know, and then you had like a street joint. There was a formula, so we were always looking for like a message. Now it's just whatever catches someone's ear. But if you have artists like, of course, Kendrick, J.
Cole, I was just going to say that. It was going to be my
Yes.
next thing.
They're there, but then there's so many others that are out there as well. They're just not bubbling over because they don't have the other single. Their message is the music.
Fabulous still spitting bars.
still
and
gets-
Oh, yeah, he
still got
definitely-
some content. Like the locks, like a lot of the artists that came from back
but Fab
then
is not a new
that's
generation
still
artist.
popping. Yeah, the new generation. No, I definitely think it has a big part to do with the drugs. And when you're
Why do you say that, Babs?
because they're all on
Faded.
drugs.
Yeah,
You know,
they-
Not
types.
just,
It's
it's
just
not
like-
just weed anymore.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
lean and
It's all-
everything else.
It's not
pills.
grown. It's
That's a fact, yo,
man-made
man.
somewhere in a factory or somebody's
Or like
kitchen.
K2 craziness
Yeah,
and
it's
all that stuff.
crazy.
I remember
Nah,
that.
they
So
got
you're
mad
thinking
at
the
me.
Message
drug
do they
use?
need if they're so high?
Yes,
it.
that's
So
what
you don't-
you're totally right. You're totally-
What do you think about what she said?
I totally agree. They get mad at me all the time. Yo, then you don't smoke, drink. I barely drink. Like it's just not me. You know what I'm saying? Like I like all of my music is written in the house. When I get to the studio, I'm just recording. I know people that go from the club, drunk and high, and they go record. So you can imagine what's coming out their mouth. You get what I'm saying? Like it's well thought out with me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm big on the message. I do have my music. Like I was telling y'all, we was talking about. Like I have my music, my money makers, but I do have that thoughtful, that deep. That's why when you said that, I'm all about that. For every time I give you something crazy and we go and make my money, I'm gonna give you something thoughtful. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm big on that, and I'm here to try my best to restore the feel for the people that's watching me, the artists that's watching me. Like I went live yesterday. I went on Instagram live, and the kids people were like, "Yo, that freestyle," and the freestyle is never gonna get as much attention as "Wait a Minute." You know what I'm saying? And it bothers me because I'm going, "Hey, I'm going ham on
See
this."
my
one."
skills,
But
exactly.
first of all, as
Exactly.
long as you're making the balance
Yeah,
yourself,
exactly, yeah, definitely. I'm big on the balance. I told you I got a father that grew up in the 90s
you're
rapping.
keeping
He don't play that. Yo, listen.
But when you so high, you don't have time
Yeah.
to really think. Cause sometimes with bars, you gotta think.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
The Kendricks, the J. Cole, you gotta really
Gotta
listen.
listen.
Sometimes you gotta bring it back and be like, "Whoo,
Yes,
he said."
rigor
But when
mortis.
you super high,
Rigor mortis.
you like,
Rigor
yo,
mortis.
what
But you don't
is he
see,
talking?
but you don't see some progress, Babs, at the fact that there's artists like a Kendrick, like a J. Cole, that have that kind of music, and it still hits. It's still popular.
Oh, yeah.
It's still
Yeah, definitely.
top in the
And
charts.
even Drake talk
Drake, too. Oh,
Drizzy,
music.
yeah.
Yes,
That's my boy.
definitely. Yes.
But if you
Speaking of
think
Drake-
about it,
No,
real
go
quick,
ahead, go
but when
ahead.
you think about it, the ones that sell the most are the ones with the message.
Yeah, that's true.
You're
You know
totally
what I'm
right.
saying?
Exactly.
Those
J. Cole sold out
like,
the Garden.
Yeah, like I mean,
It's
like
all
it might
about the
not be
numbers, yeah.
as many of them, but when they do it, it makes sense. People know.
And that's what's so effective. It's not too many J. Cole, Kendricks, and Drake. That's why they're at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Because you can't replicate that. You can't. It's so authentic. I believe that those artists are so authentic. You can't really. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't shake them because they're really good. You get what I'm saying? A lot of artists can't stand it. You can't jump in that ring right there with them dudes right there. They lose.
What about hip hop and manhood? Because there was the 90s era rappers or would almost never talk about their feelings. It was like kind of like a forbidden topic, and now they're saying the rappers today are too sensitive.
I think this
And
is
soft. What do you think about that?
No, I think
Go ahead.
I think ultimately being one of these artists, I just feel like there's an open. People are more open-minded to hearing that type of music.
Different
Meaning,
things,
like
right.
before, you would consider it. Remember, it did soften up a little bit. I'm not mad at this because I mean, sometimes you need to let
Feelings
people know
are
how you
real.
feel.
Like, your feelings are
Exactly.
real.
I tell people I'm one of them dudes. I give it. I'll let you know how I feel. That don't make me less of a man.
Right.
It makes me more real. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of them. I don't go through things. I do.
But
You know
that's
what I'm saying? And that's what it is.
That's the real. I mean, like what was happening before was rappers, especially from the hood, weren't being able to express themselves in a certain way. So you had someone like Tretch make a record called All Right, where he's talking about his struggle and everything that bothered him, but it was harder. Eminem came around and he was able to talk about things at a slower pace, really get into his feelings. It sounded like he was about to kill himself on the track.
Yeah.
You know
Somebody
what I mean?
else or the,
My favorite rapper.
the baby
But
mother
black
or the,
men
the
weren't
mother.
able to
favorite
do
rapper,
that.
though.
But
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say the black men weren't able to. I just think it was the time where they was trying to put across a different message. Like it was really, they was going heavy with the police brutality at the time, and you know, and keeping it real.
Are DJs today as powerful as they were before?
Yes.
Yeah, I still.
Yes. Oh, man.
I'll tell you
Everybody
exactly
agrees
why.
on this.
I'll tell
Why?
you exactly why. This is the most recent
Yes.
explanation. Future, millions of followers and all of that. My man just deleted everybody from his IG, and he's only following DJ Esco. He says, me and DJ Esco against the world. Nobody is safe. That shows you that he knows he's out of everybody, Drake, all of them, he still needs Esco, one of the guys that helped put him on, because Esco was the DJ in the strip clubs that was playing his music. So regardless of if you feel like you don't need to get your music to somebody that's a DJ anymore, there's still powerful DJs in this game that's changing and shifting the culture.
That that still have the power to break records.
To break a record.
Yes.
What do you think about
the
that?
power to break a record. The DJ is very important. I'm always trying to get my music in the hand of the DJ. I don't care if he the little DJ or the big
You better
DJ.
stop putting words out my mouth right now, man.
He like, he got like, I got 15 listeners on my show. I'm like, take it.
Oh my God, man.
For real, I don't play.
DJs, I'm DJs all day. As DJs, I pay for haircuts. I buy them sneakers. I do a lot. I ain't talking about flex. I'm talking about small DJs. I catch them in the barbershop. I'm paying for their hair. Everything. They are so powerful, and I am living proof of DJs in the clubs.
Yeah.
Is the club more important than the radio?
Oh, club all day.
Club all day, right?
Radio sets that.
Confirms.
No, yeah, it confirms. But that tone is setting the club down, man. You know what? Oh my goodness.
That's where the snaps are happening.
If you got a record in the club, you cannot deny it on the radio. Hot. It was played in the version wasn't even ready for the radio. Think about the hot version of Bobby Smith.
Right.
That wasn't ready for the radio.
Right.
It was. They chopped that up themselves. It was. Yeah, you gotta play it.
You gotta play it.
I've heard
that was
records
so
in the
hot.
radio. I've heard records in the club that the whole club damn near singing, and it's not on the radio,
Right.
at all.
Yep.
Not on the radio at all, and they know it.
Clubs.
They
And that's why
know
a lot
it.
of the DJs that have had long careers that are still hot, like some of our Hot 97 DJs.
Yes. Yep.
It's like they still do the club thing because they're like, Camilla told me he can go in, he can play a record that has not been really heard. He can tell right away by the reaction
What time is it?
of the crowd if it's going to be a hit or not.
Yes.
Yep.
The reason why there's a disconnection with the young generation and a lot of these DJs, like radio DJs, because a lot of these young dudes don't need the radio now because they have the internet.
I was just gonna.
Yeah,
You
Let
just
me
gave me the
tell you
segment.
something
Look at
about
that.
that
Look at the
internet.
Phresher, digital.
Look at that segue.
That internet, you don't have to play my song
But
on the
this is
radio
what it
because-
is. It's like
yes,
they can get their
it's
own
just
followers.
It's evolution. It's evolution. Some things evolve, and we have to accept that. You understand? Like a Lil Yachty. He cares nothing about radio. He's happy to get radio, but he doesn't care because his fans go on that internet and watch his videos.
But think about Ray Shrummer, the Black
Right.
Beatles, and now of course you get the Mannequin Challenge off that. That just boosts that record all the way. It's #1 right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But where does that lead you in the end, though? Because if you, until they have, I guess, the Grammys for the internet.
Well, now Chance the Rapper, he put out mixtapes. He don't even have a label. He basically puts out mixtapes.
That's my dog. I like him.
He's now nominated for a Grammy.
But they play his record on the radio.
Sometimes they don't play.
Not to the extent that his name is.
Like his stuff is like
He's so much
straight.
more.
He's such a digital artist.
Yeah.
He's like the quintessential breakthrough. He's the one that broke through.
Okay, well then I need to see that because that's what I need to see, the longevity.
Yeah.
Where's the longevity?
I think we're gonna start seeing it now.
I want to thank all of you for this great
thank you
discussion,
so much
being
for
part of
having
Street
us.
Soldiers.
No doubt.
Datwon Thomas, editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine. Babs Bunny, founder and president and head of the largest female battle rap company, Queen of the Ring. The one and only Phresher, Brooklyn-based rapper. His hit song is "Wait a Minute." And I want to thank our whole team here at Hot 97 and also my Fox 5 team, Team Lisa, everybody that helps make this show a success every week. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like me on Facebook, and then you'll find out when I'm doing these lives, straight from the street. Sometimes I just go live and then put the explanation on later on because something's happening or it's breaking news, and you might like it if you like Street Soldiers. So remember, use your mind. It's your best weapon. I hope it's your only weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace.